We made it, boys. Happy Halloween. Welcome into Hometown Ghost Stories, our very special Halloween episode. I didn't iron my banana costume, but I found a banana costume. It was in my closet, wedged away. I'm Jesse Wilkins. I'm joined by Rob Coakley. Hello, Rob.
Is it the same banana costume that Rob Payne wore that we talked about?
The one we talked, I think we talked about it last week, actually. Yeah, it's the same one. It's
excellent.
Been here for years. Dave, nice job finding a Halloween costume. I was not expecting this, actually.
Here we are, and I can't breathe.
Up until 5 seconds ago, Dave had no Halloween costume. You just went and found a pumpkin.
That's right.
I like it.
It's the low effort Halloween costume.
I would say it was high effort for sure. What's up, everybody? Welcome in. It's our Halloween special. It's Halloween night. I hope everyone had a fun Halloween so far. Big happy birthday to Catherine, and happy anniversary to Captain McSlugs and Catherine, who had a
I really like that Catherine's trying to make this day about herself.
Resourceful indeed. Dave reminds me of The Office. Yes, the scene with what was it, Dwight, who had wore the entire jack-o'-lantern on his face. Yeah, it says Dave color now. Dave's just gonna wear that pumpkin around all the time. It's great.
Right. Crack the code.
You did.
So in the chat, start telling us what you did for Halloween before you jumped on to listen to some ghost stories. Did you take the kids trick-or-treating? Did you do horror movies? What's your normal Halloween traditions that you like to do every year?
Yeah.
Rob, what's your Halloween tradition that you like to do every year?
I usually watch Trick or Treat every Halloween, which unfortunately was not able to do today based on having to get tomorrow's episode together. So not something. It's pretty sad, a little upset about it, but it is what it is at this point.
There's always later.
What did you guys do? Did you guys go trick-or-treating with the kids?
We did trick-or-treating, and one of my kids actually dressed up as Sam from Trick or Treat.
I saw it was amazing.
Cool.
That was awesome. I was actually overly excited about that.
Yeah.
Did they watch that?
He's like, no, he didn't. He walked in. He's like, Dad, you like my costume? I was like, yes, I do. That's awesome.
So has he seen the movie, or he just picked it up?
No, I think the jury's out on whether or not I want to show them that movie just yet. It's a fun Halloween movie, but it's definitely not for the kids.
They're like 25 years old now, Dave.
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
jury's out.
We were watching. I mean, it's different today, but I always go back to watching my very first horror movie that I remember watching was Killer Clowns from Outer Space when I was like 4 years old. And should that be the movie you start with?
Probably
Absolutely not. It should not be the movie you start with. And I was terrified. And I don't know if anyone has gone back and watched that movie in recent years, but it's a silly movie to be terrified of. But it started a whole lifelong obsession with being terrified of clowns, but still watching every clown movie I could.
The one for me when I was a kid growing up that absolutely terrified me was The Gate. And I'm so scared to go back and watch it, not because I think it's going to scare me, but because I'm afraid of how corny it's going to be and how lame I'm going to feel, knowing that was the movie that scared the crap out of me.
Right. Yeah, but I've read good things. I haven't watched The Gate either ever or since it came out, and I do see people that are pretty nostalgic about that movie and it's still being scary.
Yeah, it's on my list of things to do is to go back and rewatch it, but just afraid that I'm going to feel like I'm lame.
Yeah, a movie that scared the hell out of me, like gave me legitimate nightmares, was The Sixth Sense. And I don't think I've watched that one since.
That's a good one. That's a classic.
Very good, yeah. Terrifying. And I wasn't even that young when I saw it. I must have been like 12 or 13 years old or something like that. But I remember actually having legitimate nightmares about that one.
That movie came out the same year as Stir of Echoes with Kevin Bacon, which I think is a very underrated ghost story movie, haunted house movie. And it was kind of just overshadowed by The Sixth Sense, and nobody ever talks about Stir of Echoes, but I thought it was as good, if not, probably not better, but at least as good.
Papa Squatch, what kind of neighborhood are you in? He left a comment. He says, this is the saddest thing I've ever heard. He said, we went to 4 houses. Nobody was handing out candy by us. One house was all decorated. A lady came out onto the porch in costume and told us as we were walking up, quote, "We don't do trick-or-treaters."
What in the world?
What in That literally makes zero sense.
It sounds like the start of a horror movie.
Can we let's pull some of our Patreon money together and send Papa Squatch a candy gram.
Just fly him out to us. My neighborhood is insane for Halloween.
Just your camera real quick. Just put your hand in front of it.
My blurry.
Yeah.
There we go. This year, I don't know. Anyways, this year was like
he just gives up. He's just like,
what do you want me to do? I'm trying to tell a story, you know?
Not gonna fix it. It's gonna roll.
It's not that blurry. I mean, I'm still handsome. This year is like the peak of how my neighborhood has been. So the street across the street from me, they do a haunt every year. They change it up and they just transform their front yard. It's not like a big house or anything like that. So they just turn their small front yard into this haunted house. They build like a maze with like fences and stuff. And it's really, really, really well done. And now it's become like a thing where people travel from like all over the state to come right to my neighborhood. And they actually blocked off the street this year. They had like a police detail out there and everything like that because it gets that crazy. And yeah, it's like a Halloween festival right there. So we go over there, and there's actually quite a few houses on the block now that have a ton of stuff going on. So we're getting trick-or-treaters up until about 10 minutes ago, right before we went live. Some girl was knocking at the door, so we ran out of candy. I've been giving out the kids Halloween candy ever since. So yeah, that's what we do. That's our Halloween tradition, is now just stick around in our neighborhood. It's gotten to a point where the neighborhood's so busy, like people are like parking like right in front of my house and everything. Now it's like, I don't even know if we can take the kids trick-or-treating without leaving someone at the house to hand out candy, because by the time we got back, all the candy was gone. So gotta do more. I bought like the wife bought like six giant bags of candy too, and it's all gone. So a successful Halloween night. It was pretty crazy. Papa Squatch chimes back and he says, our old neighborhood, the police used to block off the entrance because it was so busy. Now our neighbors are goats. We took the kids to like 837 fall festivals and trunk or treats. That's good, as long as they got their Halloween stuff in. But how can you, as an adult, decorate your house, come out to the porch in a costume, and turn away trick-or-treaters? Like, you're prepared for Halloween. How are you just such a Grinch that you're just gonna turn away some nice little kid in a costume? I remember one year, a few years ago,
I just was not prepared for this Jesse filibuster on Halloween.
I'm waiting for someone to chime in here. I'm just going and going. I keep pausing. No one wants to talk, so I'm just gonna keep going. I remember one year I ran out of candy and I just started handing out $1 bills because I felt bad. Anyways,
Kate says Lucy took Dave for a trick-or-treat experience, which is true. So we were walking, it was dark, and there was like this big gigantic slippery mud sludge puddle that I didn't see, and my dog gets very excited. So yeah. I'm walking out, I got the flashlight, I got the dog, I'm trying to multitask, and the dog just pulls and I step in this mud sludge pile and feet come right out from under me and just blap right in the mud puddle.
Oh no.
And that's how we started our trick-or-treating adventure.
Looking at some of these comments in the chat, I see that Al said that the original Pet Cemetery at 9 years old, he was horrified. And I also saw
that's a tough one to start with.
Yeah, but I remember that one at a young age as well. Like,
yeah,
I was probably 5 or 6 when I watched that one, and that one scarred me back in the day. The other one I saw was that I can't find. Oh, there it is. Captain McSlug says Jesse brought me to War of the Worlds with Tom Cruise as a youngin, and I was not okay for many years.
That was a scary one.
I didn't know that story. I knew we traumatized both of our little brothers as youngins by showing them scary movies and doing our. But that was the first hometown ghost stories, was locking Andrew in a car seat on the dark side of the basement and telling him ghost stories and playing scary music. Yep. Why is he so weird now?
Why did he get married on Halloween?
Unfortunately, that's a true story. Stephanie says our neighborhood gives out the full-size candy. Nice. There was very few houses. Dude, Dave, remember when we grew up in Brent Rock? There was that long road on the way to Peter Park, and it was like the gravel road, and it had that old broken down milk truck halfway down.
Yeah.
At the end of that house, one year we were brave enough to go all the way down there and see if they were handing out candy. And they were the only house in our neighborhood that was giving out that full-size candy. They're like, no one ever comes down. They're scared of the milk truck. And we're like, so are we.
But yet here we are.
Why haven't you removed it? It's like this old broken down. It's a milk truck, for God's sake. You know, of course it's old. But yeah, that was they gave out the full size candy, but that I think that was the only one. There's a few houses near me that do it, but not many.
Kate says that Lady in White was her first spooky movie that she remembers. And is that like a late 80s movie with one of the guys from the show Coach in it?
I don't know who that is, but it is a late 80s movie. And it was surprisingly scarier than I thought it was going to be.
I think I remember that movie from like watching it 30 years ago, probably at this point. And I think, I'm going to spoil it. The old guy was the killer, right? The older guy.
So we ended up falling asleep like 3/4 of the way into it. But when we finish it, I'll let you know if it was actually proper spoiled.
I'm glad I spoiled it.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Soph says, my dad took me to see 300 when I was 6, and I wasn't scarred, but it was probably the reason the way I am. I am the way I am.
Yeah.
That's why you keep kicking your enemies down giant sinkholes.
It's history. It's acceptable.
Yes, that's right.
Yes.
Soph says Queen Loose. Oh, she's talking about
Lucy,
Dog. Yeah,
Lucy Goose.
I thought Queen Loose was a movie. I was like, oh, I haven't heard of that one before.
It's Stephanie made her kids watch The Sixth Sense last night.
Oh, good one.
How do they react to that?
They probably liked it.
Gotcha.
Her kids are into spooky stuff. That's
true. It's true. They watch us every week. I mean, and we are the spookiest of the spookies.
This is the spookiest of the spookies. Speaking of the spookiest of the spookies, we're going to tell some scary stories, I think.
I think so. I think let's jump into one.
Do we want to start with us just telling them, or do we want to start with one of the pre-recorded ones?
I think we fire off some of these. David did some good work here. And
so just before we fire them off, we're going to fire them. I did 3 of them, and they're going to be fired off randomly because we forgot to label them. We don't know what they are.
We didn't forget to label them. StreamYard is the worst when it comes to adding video files, and it will not let you name the video file as you add it. It will only put it as the person that uploaded it. So
this is actually a great story. Real quick, Demetra chimes in. My wife, she says, "My dad woke up my sister, who was 7 years old at the time, to finish watching The Exorcist because he was too scared." True story, and that's not the first time I heard that story.
That's phenomenal because he was too scared.
Papa Squatch says, "I watched some werewolf movie when I was a kid. When the protag yawned at the end, she was a werewolf. I was convinced yawning during the day meant my parents were werewolves." Jesus. Don't yawn during the day.
That's great.
Let's hop into so do you guys want to hop into our first scary story tonight?
Let's do it.
You guys have any more traumatizing movies as a kid? You just keep dropping them in the chat.
Just to preface these videos, none of them they're all works of fiction that I just wrote, and none of them are ghost stories. They're all just
horror. One of them's the elevator game, right?
One of them is the elevator game.
That's the last one, Jesse. I can see which one that is. I don't know what the other two are. Yeah.
Okay. All right then. Well, let's fire one off here.
The crows were sitting perched along the roofline. I knew they could see me, but was certain they'd stay away. Just below, I could see the farmer through the dirty glass of his crooked window. I hated him for the monster that I knew he was. Just the sight of him made my blood boil. The sun was beginning to set, transforming the sky into a deep orange and manipulating the shadows into long, exaggerated vestiges stretching across the ground. It was Halloween, and I knew trick-or-treaters would soon be coming out. I wished there was a way I could prevent them from going to that house, but I knew it was impossible given my current situation. As if on cue, a young kid in a vampire costume came walking up the dirt driveway. I waited, praying for his parents or his friends to follow, but nobody did. He was all alone. I cursed to myself. The farmer wasn't visible in the window anymore. The vampire kid knocked on the door and waited. I wanted to call out to him to warn him off, but I couldn't. Even if I could, he probably wouldn't hear me. After a minute or so, I watched the door open and saw the farmer motion for the kid to go inside. Don't, I thought. I saw him hesitate a moment, and then start to follow the farmer across the threshold, but just as quickly turn and head back out, clearly thinking better of it. Smart kid, I thought, as I watched him run back down the dirt road, away from the hell he would have endured if he followed the farmer inside. I knew what fate would have awaited him. He'd be out here with me in this cornfield, tied to a stake, mouth sewn shut, scaring the crows away.
Boom. Spooky story number 1. Dude, that was good. That was
I like
good.
that one. That was a good
I
one.
was editing the audio for it earlier, and I was like, ooh, that took a twist that I was not expecting. So nice. Nicely done. Nicely done. Also, that house, Andrew mentioned the aggressive roof pitch on that house. Perfect house for the video there.
Do you know why the Scarecrow got a promotion?
Hang on.
Don't answer it. You're supposed to say no. I don't know why. You're gonna try and ruin my joke.
I'm trying to think of the answer. I'm not allowed to think about the answer. All right.
No,
I don't know why.
Because he was outstanding in his field.
Nice.
It would have been nicer if you just went along with the joke and you didn't have to draw it out.
You should have done the joke before the story.
I titled the story "Outstanding in His Field."
I noticed that. I changed it. I was like, oh, I don't know what that means. Now it makes sense. See, I should have known the answer. You sent the answer to me. I just didn't put 2 and 2 together. It's a good story. Good story.
Thank you.
Rob, do you have a story for us? Should we jump into another one?
I mean, I don't have any pre-recorded. It wasn't like Dave. I've been working on tomorrow's episode, so I couldn't do a pre-recorded thing. Do we want the one that I wrote, or do we want to do one of the other ones?
Let's hear one that you wrote.
Yeah.
I only wrote one.
Oh, let's hear
Let's
it.
hear the one that you wrote.
All right. Colleen's heart was racing. She was running through the path with the overgrown brush.
Hang on, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Let me give you some music.
This is why you got to pre-record it.
Yeah. So we only have royalty-free music. So tell me if this works. No. That's no good. Let's go with this one.
My story's been ruined, and I don't appreciate it. I don't appreciate it at all.
If you could just actually read the story and do an interpretive dance at the same time. Come on, Rob.
Colleen's heart was racing.
All right, no more of that.
I'm not doing this story now. We're gonna save this story because now it's been ruined, and we got to get away from it.
I'm sorry.
We got to get away
as an
from
option.
Yeah, we got to get away from it for now. Unfortunately, we can do a different one.
Here's a story. Joe says, as a teenager, my big bro traumatized my girlfriends. We were having a horror video night. My bro organized his mates to surround the house, where they all started knocking on the windows, and he had an axe.
Oh no!
Jeez, that took a twist.
That's great. Have you seen the video of the guy? He's downstairs at his breaker box, and the caption of the video is, "My girls are upstairs playing with a Ouija board," and he shuts the breaker off to their room, and you hear them all scream, and then he turns it back on, and then he shuts it off again, and you hear them all scream from upstairs again. Such a good video.
That is good.
All right, I'll read one of these stories from Reddit that I found. We bought an old house, my boyfriend and I. He's in charge of the new construction, converting the kitchen into the master bedroom, for instance, while I'm on wallpaper removal duty. The previous owner papered every wall and ceiling. Removing it is brutal, but oddly satisfying. The best feeling is getting a long peel, similar to your skin when you're peeling from a sunburn. I don't know about you, but I kind of make a game of peeling. On the hunt for the longest piece before it rips. Under a corner section of paper in every room is a person's name and a date. Curiosity got the best of me one night when I Googled one of the names and discovered the person was actually a missing person. The missing date matching the date under the wallpaper. The next day, I made a list of all the names and dates. Sure enough, each name was for a missing person with dates to match. We notified the police, who naturally sent out the crime scene team. I overheard one tech say, "Yep, it's human." Human? What's human? Ma'am, where's the material you removed from the walls already? This isn't wallpaper you were removing.
What was it?
Skin, obviously.
Gross.
Thanks. Now we're all sick to our stomachs.
Yeah, well,
So in reaction to the Sixth Sense movie, Stephanie says, so Sydney and Audrey's reactions to the Sixth Sense, this is where them being a pain comes back in full force. Audrey wanted to be Mel from The Descendants, so therefore bluish purple. Oh, she's talking about Halloween costumes as well. Sorry. Yes, and then Joe says,
I can't believe you guys just no-sold that story I told. Just absolutely
I thought
no-sold.
it was pretty good. It was pretty solid. It was dark
You just moved on to a comment that you didn't pre-read and didn't know what the hell was going on.
Sorry. It was a good story, Rob.
Thanks. Dave, tell me it was a good
Oh.
story.
Good story, Rob, that you wrote, I guess.
I didn't write it. I read
I
it.
know. Why do I have to congratulate you on a story you didn't write?
Oh, Jesus Christ. What are we doing here?
I'm just joking. I joke. Kate says she was afraid to walk around after watching Tremors. Tremors was a great movie, but I understand why you'd be afraid to walk around. It's sort of like
Weirdly, it's the one franchise Kevin Bacon wanted to do again. He said he never wanted to do a sequel, and he didn't even want to do this movie in the first place. But after he did it, he was like, it's the one movie that I wanted to do more with, and he never did.
I like the Tremors series, or at least the first one. I remember
First one's good.
the other ones.
It jumped the shark after like the second one. The second one was fine, and then they made like one of the like D-list characters from the first one the main guy for the rest of the series. The guy with all the guns and stuff.
Yeah. Exactly. Yep. Jesse, I think now would be a good time for you to intro and tell Frankie's Campfire ghost story.
Yes.
This was a good one.
So every year we all go camping. It used to be the boys camping trip, but this turned into an everyone camping trip. And we now rent out like multiple campsites and just, do a few nights, and it's a good time. But one of the traditions that we have on this camping trip is we all sit around the campfire and tell ghost stories. And I might have to exclude my children from future campfire traditions because they still have nightmares about Dave's ghost stories that he told at said
My bad.
tradition. But that just means he's doing a really good job, and that means he's definitely qualified for this job, right? So
yes.
The story goes like this.
Hang on. Frankie is
Frankie's my 7-year-old son, and
Okay.
We spent a little time before this event concocting a story for him and tweaking it to his own liking, and the ending is very remarkable, and he delivered it very well. So there was a family on a camping trip. I don't even remember how this story goes, actually.
This is off
Well,
to
yeah,
a great
hit me
start.
with it. All right. Family's on a camping trip. On the first night, the boy wakes up and he steps out of his tent and he goes to his mother's tent. And she says, "Go back to bed, honey. It's late." So he goes back to bed. The next night, in the middle of the night, he woke again. He unzipped his tent and stepped out into the cool night. And his mother heard him again, and again she awoke and she told him, "Go back to bed, honey. It's late." On the third and final night of the camping trip, he awoke in the middle of the night yet again. He unzipped the tent and stepped out, but his mother did not awake. He walked around the campsite for a little while, and then he thought, "I'd like to go see what the pond looks like in the middle of the night." He knew exactly where the pond was. It was a straightaway shot from his campsite. So he began to walk down towards the pond. He arrived all the way down at the pond. And as he looked out in the moonlit lake, at the end of the dock, he noticed there was a man standing there. He thought nothing of it at first and turned to walk back to his campsite. But the road did not look familiar, and he seemed to have forgotten his way. He looked left and he looked right, but none of the roads looked familiar. So he turned around, and he still saw that man standing at the end of the dock. It was dark, but the moonlight reflected off the pond, and he could see the silhouette of the man. He thought he would go ask him for help. So he strolled down to the water's edge and he called out to him. "Hello, sir?" But the man said nothing. He wasn't even looking at him. He was looking out at the water. He walked a little closer to the foot of the dock and he called out again. "Hello, sir. Can you help me?" The man didn't turn around. He didn't seem to hear him. He took a few steps closer. As he walked up to the dock, he noticed that the man was wearing a hat and what seemed to be Native American clothing. He called out to him again. "Excuse me, sir, can you help me? I just need you to help me find my campsite. I've gotten lost." The man still said nothing. As he approached him, he tried to make his way around to the front of him, but the man was standing on the edge of the dock. "Hello," he tapped the man on the shoulder. But again, he said nothing. He slid around to the front of him. He couldn't see his face. The man's hat was pulled down, covering his entire face. "Hello, sir?" He nervously lifted his hand and touched the bottom of his hat and lifted it up, revealing what should have been his face. But the man had no face. He had 3 noses. The man looked down at him and said, That's the end of the story.
Absolute
Roughly. Yeah.
A-class punchline.
Oh, thank you, Rob. Thank God we make our own music, because if we had to resort to this royalty-free music that they have loaded in here, I don't know if this would have the same punchline to it. He created a very good story. Yes. So shout out to Frankie for putting the finishing touches on that. Captain says Frankie's story deserves a shot. For 7, he wins. Jesse, the second, he's 10. You lose your seat here. Yeah. I'd have to let him take over.
He is too young for a shot, though.
He is. That's true.
Break him up. Rules are rules.
All right, you ready for it? You guys ready for it?
Yes. Oh, would you upload the music? Oh, wow. Success. There you go. All right, so we can play that while we tell stories. That's good. Let me turn it down about 50% there.
Oh, can you do that? You
Yep.
can. Nice.
There we go. Cool.
Ready?
Oh, first of all, I didn't see this earlier, but big shout out to Andrew. Thank you for the 99 cents in super chat. Andrew never stops giving us money, and we thank you for that. Oh, we got all the spooky music in here now. Nicely done, sir.
Yeah.
Cool. Those two will do. Very good. Should we hop into another Dave video here?
Sure.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right.
Do the elevator game.
It was advertised like a 19.
It's
Do
too
the
late.
elevator game. All right, we're gonna jump into the elevator game. Yeah. All right, let's jump in.
The elevator game. The elevator game is a dark ritual that is thought to have originated in Japan or South Korea, although it is unknown exactly who discovered the process. The ritual involves a player pressing the buttons of the elevator in a specific combination and riding to those floors one at a time. The end result is that the elevator, and therefore the rider, will be transported to another dimension, or in some cases, to the underworld, or hell. It's rumored that Eliza Lamb, the woman who went missing from an elevator in the Cecil Hotel and was later found dead in the hotel's rooftop water tank, may have been playing the elevator game. There is, of course, no confirmation of this. The following is a witness account of a woman who attempted the ritual in 2015. Before we get into the story, let's go over the rules of the game. You'll need a building with an elevator and at least 10 stories. The elevator sequence is 4, 2, 6, 2, 10, 5. Step 1. Start at the first floor from inside the elevator. Step 2. Once you get to the first floor, press the 4th floor button. Do not proceed if somebody gets into the elevator. Step 3. Once you get to the 4th floor, press the 2nd floor button. Do not proceed if somebody gets into the elevator. Step 4. Once you get to the 2nd floor, press the 6th floor button. Do not proceed if somebody gets into the elevator. Step 5. Once you get to the 6th floor, press the 2nd floor button again. Do not proceed if somebody gets into the elevator. Step 6. After getting to the 2nd floor, press the 10th floor button. Do not proceed if somebody gets into the elevator. Step 7. Once you get to the 10th floor, press the 5th floor button. Do not proceed if somebody gets into the elevator. At the 5th floor, if a woman enters the elevator, do not look at her. Do not speak and don't talk to her. That woman is not human. If you do, she will decide to keep you for her own. Step 8. Once the woman gets in, press the 1st floor button. Do not proceed if somebody enters the elevator or if one of the players leaves the elevator. The elevator will either ascend or descend. If the elevator reaches the 1st floor, leave and do not look back. Step 9. If the elevator reaches the 10th floor, leave and do not respond to the woman if she asks, "Where are you going?" or "What's wrong?" Her voice will be high when she asks that. If you're in the other dimension, you'll be alone. Electronics will not work. The other dimension will be identical to our world, but 2 differences you will see are, 1, the lights will be off, and 2, the only thing you'll be able to see from the windows is a red cross in the distance. To return to our world, you must go back into the elevator and press the same buttons. 4, 2, 6, 2, 10, 5. When you reach the 5th floor, press the button for the 1st floor. The elevator will again begin to ascend to the 10th floor. Press any other floor's button to cancel the ascension. You must press the button you used to cancel the ascension before you reach the 10th floor. After you reach the 1st floor, check your surroundings carefully. If anything seems off, even the smallest detail, do not exit the elevator. If you detect something wrong, repeat step 2 until your surroundings look as they should. In the winter of 2015, a woman named Leah entered an unnamed building in an unnamed city. Her intent was to reach another dimension by playing the infamous elevator game. She chose to perform the ritual at 3:30 in the morning for 2 reasons. 1, she wanted to ensure the best chance that nobody would interfere by entering the elevator with her. And 2, because 3 a.m. is considered to be the witching hour where most paranormal events take place. Leah entered the elevator on the 1st floor and pressed the number 4. The elevator ascended to the 4th floor with no issues and the doors opened. Nobody there. Good, she thought, and proceeded to press the number 2 button. The elevator again reached the desired floor, and she repeated the process with the 6th, 2nd, and 10th floor. Each time, the doors opened to an empty floor. Her heart began to increase as she prepared to press the button to the 5th floor, knowing she may encounter a non-human entity. She gathered her nerves and pressed the 5. It seemed to take forever for the elevator to reach its destination. 9, 8, 7. Sweat began beading on her forehead. 6. The lights flickered slightly. 5. The elevator came to a stop. As she waited for the doors to open, she silently prayed that nobody would be standing on the other side. After what seemed like a lifetime, the doors opened. There stood a small, dark-haired woman. She smiled at Leah and stepped into the elevator, but there was something off with her smile. It wasn't friendly. It was almost menacing. Quickly, Leah directed her gaze at the floor, remembering the warning not to look at the woman on the 5th floor. Panic set in as the black-haired woman stepped into the elevator. Leah said nothing and pressed the button for the 1st floor with a trembling finger. Suddenly, the woman spoke in a high-pitched, shrill voice, exclaiming that somebody was hurt on the 5th floor and was in need of her help. Leah said nothing, knowing that if this were true, the woman would have asked her when the doors opened. She wouldn't have gotten into the elevator and waited for it to descend first. The woman became irate at being ignored and began screeching at Leah, cursing and spitting at her. Leah closed her eyes, willing the elevator to reach the first floor. It seemed to be moving slower and slower, and the woman's screech became louder and louder. Finally, Leah screamed at her to shut up and shoved her as hard as she could. The woman hit the wall with a loud smack. Leah froze in horror. The woman turned as the elevator reached the first floor and looked at Leah with those cold black eyes. She grinned triumphantly as the doors opened. The woman backed through the open doors, staring at Leah with that devilish smile on her face. Suddenly, the doors slammed shut and the elevator began rapidly ascending. 2, 3, 4. Leah scrambled to the button panel and began hammering on the one button, desperately trying to get the elevator to change direction, but it kept going. 7, 8, 9. Leah backed off and prepared herself for she didn't know what. 10. The doors opened. Leah remained at the back of the elevator, too scared to move. The door started to close, and in a panic, Leah sprang through, just wanting to be out of that death trap. She looked around and realized somehow she was back on the first floor. Without any hesitation, she ran as fast as she could out the front door, all the way home, never looking back. Recently, she shared her story and included a warning to anybody considering playing the elevator game. Every night I dream I'm trapped on the elevator with that horrible woman. Not a single night goes by where I don't wake up screaming. It doesn't end there. It's not exclusive to my nightmares. I see her in crowds. I see her face when I close my eyes. I see her everywhere. I broke the rules to the game. Now I have to live with the curse.
That was solid. I mean, you made that one a while ago. I haven't listened to that one in a long time. But that's a good. I got goosebumps a few times.
That was a Patreon exclusive, right?
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
So that's the stuff that we are giving to you on Patreon every month when you sign up. And some of our Patreon members don't always notice some of the stuff that we post. So I encourage you to be checking the Patreon page for the links to videos like this.
Yes. Silverline asks, any thoughts on hotels not having a 13th floor due to superstition? I stayed at a hotel in Reno, Nevada with my
probably on the 13th floor.
And asked a worker that they actually told me because of 13th floor superstition. It's actually very common that hotels don't have a numbered 13th floor. So the 13th floor is actually the 14th floor. And it is exactly for that reason. It's for superstitions. It probably started with a hotel casino, I'm guessing, because you don't want to stay in an unlucky floor if you're in a casino. But I guess it was kind of a trend that caught on, and lots of hotels don't have a 13th floor.
Pretty much. I don't think I've ever stayed in a hotel where I've noticed that there was a 13th floor.
I'm in for the 13th floor. If one of these hotels doesn't want to be a coward and put a 13th floor, I'm down. No, the elevator game story is really good. I enjoy it. It gets confusing, even if you're reading it. You're just like, wait, what am I
supposed to do?
Yeah,
I'm screwed. There's no chance. I have to have the rules written down.
Yeah,
It's like I screw something up. I'm like, damn it.
Especially if I'm in a panic, like, oh my God, like something's happening. This woman got on the elevator. And what if it wasn't the elevator game and she just assaulted some poor woman on the elevator who actually was like, hey, someone needs help on the fifth floor.
I know. Well, I mean, it makes sense, or it doesn't make sense. It wouldn't have made sense for her to get onto the elevator, wait for the doors to close, and then for her to turn and be like, somebody needs help. You know what I mean? She would have said, hey, come off the elevator. You know, that was the point that she made.
Yeah, and why weren't you on the fifth floor? And how do you know someone on the fifth floor needs help? Yeah, it was definitely very creepy. Oh, Specky's here. What's up, man? Happy Halloween, my friend.
Happy Halloween.
Catherine says, due to superstition, almost all hotels skip 13, which is what I expected.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Why don't let's try laying some spooky music behind me while I tell a story.
All
Are you
right.
going to attempt your story again?
I'm going to wait on that because it's been ruined. We need some separation from it. As you guys constantly interrupt me every time I go to tell a story.
Speaking
It
of
just
which,
doesn't stop.
Specky says, Skits and I love the podcast. Well, shout out to you and shout out to Skits. Thank you guys. Glad you love the show.
All right, I'm gonna turn the music down a little more.
Hmm.
How about there? How's that sound?
I think that sounds
right
pretty
there.
good.
Yeah.
All right. My daughter woke me around 11:50 last night. My wife and I had picked her up from her friend Sally's birthday party, brought her home, and put her to bed. My wife went into the bedroom to read while I fell asleep watching the Braves game. "Daddy," she whispered, tugging my shirt sleeve. "Guess how old I'm going to be next month?" "I don't know, Beauty. How old?" I said as I slipped on my glasses. "How old?" She smiled and held up 4 fingers. It's now 7:30 a.m. My wife and I have been up with her for almost 8 hours. She still refuses to tell us where she got them.
Nice.
Mm,
I like that one.
yes.
Well, not the music. Music definitely
Music
helps.
definitely helps. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the spooky music always helps.
For sure.
I don't have any of the other files on my computer to add, Jesse, if you did want to add.
Well, that's more, but I think Spooky 1 and Spooky 2 will do for now.
I have Sinister Song Short, which I don't know what that is.
I have no
No
idea.
either.
That's definitely from you. I'll upload it. We'll all figure it out together. That's
I
what we'll
titled
do.
nothing Sinister Song. I'm not very original in naming my songs. It's Spooky 1, Spooky 2, Spooky 3, Spooky 4, Spooky 5, Spooky Pirates, and Spooky Cowboys. That's all I got.
Yep.
If you guys are wondering what the album's going to be called when we do drop it, it's just going to be called Spooky.
Mm.
All right. Let's see what Sinister Song Short is.
You might just get us DMCA'd here. Let's not. Oh wait,
No, it's
that's
us.
that's Spooky 4. Okay,
I don't have any music saved on my computer. That's not our stuff.
Okay. Yeah, that's
Joe,
just-
Joe says 13 is a lucky number for me, but that is because she is from Australia and she's upside down, so everything's
Yeah.
backwards.
So it's actually 31.
Mm-hmm.
Science.
That's a fact.
Stephanie said, I mean, who wouldn't fall asleep during a Braves game? I agree. I wouldn't. Who wouldn't
Just
fall asleep during
any baseball.
game? Who the hell wants to watch baseball ever?
Mm,
Not this guy.
nope.
Did you get Lee's comment yet?
Oh, yeah. I'm a security guard stuck at work, 13 hours into my 16-hour shift. Thanks for bringing spookiness to me. We're happy to be here for you, Lee.
Yeah. Sorry you just got stuck working a 16-hour shift.
But it's almost
On
over.
Halloween.
3 more hours.
That sucks. Jesse, you going to read us a story or what?
Sure.
Oh, well, I guess you did tell us Frankie's extremely long nose story.
Yes. Not extremely long nose. 3 noses.
Mm.
Yes.
Or the story was extremely long. I don't know. I sprinkled in some extra details. Anyways, all right.
It was leading up so well. Like it was such a great story, and then you did the nose thing, and I wanted to put my head through the keyboard.
Silverline asks if we are thinking of getting into Mexican horror stories. We
Do you
did
know
one.
who Dave is?
We did one. We did a Mexican horror story. We covered the ghost of La Llorona, which I think was episode. I don't remember which it was, but it was Mexico City was the origin of that one.
Mm.
So if you can go back, you can find it if you like.
Andrew said no one knows the ending.
Mm-hmm.
Papa Squatch says I enjoy taking the kids to baseball games. I also enjoy going to baseball games. I don't know.
Going is a different thing.
Yep.
Going to a Red Sox game is very different than I refuse to watch baseball on TV ever again.
I'll sometimes watch if the Red Sox are in the playoffs. I'll watch some playoff baseball, but it's tough.
It's got to be like Game 7 of the World Series, 9th inning, 2 outs, and then maybe.
Yeah, I think the last game that I actually sat down and watched was, Red Sox World Series, but there was one of the, I think it was a playoff game versus the Yankees, and I was watching at your house, Rob. That's when David Ortiz hit that grand slam, and we freaked out. Yeah, that was the last
awesome.
time. That was about the last time I've been excited about baseball.
Right.
Anyways, before everyone falls asleep, because we're talking about baseball here, I don't know how that happened, but let's jump into it. This one is called Axe Murder Hollow. I did not write this one. I found it. So, some spooky music. There we go. Susan and Ned were driving through a wooded, empty section of the highway. Lightning flashed. Thunder roared. The sky went dark in a torrential downpour. "We better stop," said Susan. Ned nodded his head in agreement. He stepped on the brake, and suddenly the car started to slide on the slick pavement. They plunged off the road and slid into a halt at the bottom of an incline. Pale and shaking, Ned quickly turned to check if Susan was all right. When she nodded, Ned relaxed and looked through the rain-soaked windows. "I'm going to see how bad it is," he told Susan. And he went out into the storm. She saw his blurry figure in the headlight, walking around the front of the car. A moment later, he jumped in beside her, soaking wet. "The car's not badly damaged, but we're wheel-deep in mud," he said. "I'm going to have to go for help." Susan swallowed nervously. There would be no quick rescue here. He told her to turn off the headlights and lock the doors until he returned. Axe Murder Hollow. Although Ned hadn't said the name out loud, they both knew what he had been thinking when he told her to lock the car. This was the place where a man had once taken an axe and hacked his wife to death in a jealous rage over an alleged affair. Supposedly, the axe-wielding spirit of the husband continued to haunt this section of the road. Outside the car, Susan heard a shriek, a loud thump, and a strange gurgling noise, but she couldn't see anything in the darkness. Frightened, she shrank down into her seat. She sat in silence for a while, and then she noticed another sound. Bump. Bump. It was a soft sound, like something being blown by the wind. Suddenly, the car was illuminated by a bright light. An official-sounding voice told her to get out of the car. Ned must have found a police officer. Susan unlocked the door and stepped out of the car. As her eyes adjusted to the bright light, she saw it. Hanging by his feet from the tree next to the car was the dead body of Ned. His bloody throat had been cut so deeply that he was nearly decapitated. The wind swung his corpse back and forth so that it thumped against the tree. Bump, bump. Susan screamed and ran towards the voice in the light. As she drew close, she realized the light was not coming from a flashlight. Standing there in the front of her was a glowing figure of a man with a smile on his face and a large, solid, and definitely real axe in his hands. She backed away from the glowing figure until she bumped into the car. "Playing around when my back was turned," the ghost whispered, stroking the sharp blade of his axe with his fingers. "You've been very naughty." The last thing she saw was the glint of the axe blade in the eerie, incandescent light. Axe Hollow.
Ooh, that was
That
a
was-
spooky one.
I thought you were ending it in the middle when you said the name
Yeah.
of the thing again, and I was like,
It was just way out of place. But by the way, I briefly skimmed over this. I'm like, seems pretty good. There is a million misspellings in this, so I did the Lord's work there getting through that story without.
Well done. We wouldn't have known.
that.
I didn't hear a single misspelling. Papa Squatch has a good comment here. He said Ned was almost one headlight.
Nice.
That was solid. Nice
That
job.
was good. That was
Yep.
a good one.
That tale's like a very. It's a I'm not going to try to say words that I can't say right now. I can say those like earlier in the day, but once we hit this time of day, it's tougher. But it-
witching hour.
Yes, it's like a form of one of the more popular urban legends that you hear. It's like the hook hand man, where like the couple's in the car, the guy gets out and she hears the drip on the car. She's like drip, 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 drip.
Hmm.
You know, like there's so many variations of that story that's
I know what you did last
reminded.
summer.
Mhm.
Right. Basically, I know what you did last summer.
Hmm.
So full disclosure, the bump happened 3 times, not 2 times. But in my head, I'm thinking bump, bump, bump. And all I'm thinking about is that song from like the early 2000s.
Now let me see you turn around and make that sexy body go bump, bump, bump.
Yep. So
Yeah.
I couldn't.
B2K.
Like, that comparison. It was a B2K. Yeah. I was like, this makes it even more silly than it already is turning out to be. But not
Just-
a bad story.
Jesse just breaks into his Omarion singing voice, and
We turn back on the dance music and we all break into a choreographed dance. Where is it? Dance pop. We don't have to do this again. Anyways,
I do think having the music makes the storytelling slightly better.
far less awkward. Yep, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Do we want to do the one I wrote?
We do.
Sure.
All right. Let me keep talking while I find it.
We'll preview with some spooky one.
Mm.
I have to switch email accounts because God forbid I keep everything in the same spot.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
You never use Spooky One anymore.
Yeah.
Too much piano. I like
No,
like more
spooky
pads.
one. Spooky
I
one's
love
great.
spooky one. I'll use more spooky one if you guys want me
We
to.
use more Spooky One. Spooky One is good.
More spooky one, less spooky 6.
Just for an.
What the fuck
First
is
of all, there is no
Spooky
Spooky
Six?
6. I know you don't like
Spooky
Spooky 5.
5.
I use Spooky 5 is just for the intros now, okay? Calm down. Anyways, the problem with Spooky 1 with the piano is it messes with the high frequencies. So it interferes with too much noise. Anyways, just from an audio technical standpoint. So that's why I've made a lot of these spooky songs over again with less piano and more of just the ambient noises behind. But anyways, as if we didn't bore you enough with
It's
baseball.
got a real Halloween feel to it.
It does.
Yes.
This is Halloween music.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Ready to rock there, Rob?
Yes.
All right, let's give you the floor.
All right. Colleen's heart was racing. She was running through the path with the overgrown brush, only the swinging light from her camera phone to guide her. The screams of her boyfriend were still echoing from behind her. They had been sitting around a fire that they had made while camping out. Suddenly, a man appeared from the brush with some sort of hooked blade and covered in blood. Steve told Colleen to run, and she didn't hesitate. Only she thought Steve would be running with her, but he didn't. Now all she heard were the screams. She pushed forward, wanting to get help as she approached a fork in the path. Quickly, she chose right and kept running as fast as possible. A few moments later, she made out a clearing ahead. Just as she was entering it, she felt something grab her foot, and she tumbled to the ground. She scrambled to get back to her feet, but when she looked up, she saw the man with the hooked blade standing over her. She was paralyzed with fear. He reached out for her, and as he did, she began to scream, and he disappeared into the night. She sat there with her arms wrapped around her legs, sobbing. Suddenly, Steve called out to her. Shocked, she yelled back. He ran up to her and they began to hug. What happened? He asked. You were laying on my shoulder, then you just got up and started screaming and running. I tried calling after you. I don't know. I must have been dreaming. I saw a man with some sort of knife or something. It had a hook at the end. Maybe I've just watched too many movies lately, she responded. Oh, wow, he said. The owner of this land had a blade like that. I've grown quite fond of it myself. He pulled her closer before grabbing her by the arm and spinning her around. You weren't supposed to be here yet, he said, while holding up the lantern to a group of freshly dug graves.
Very nice. You know,
Nice.
she should have done what she should have picked up that fork that she saw on the road, used it as a weapon.
That's what she absolutely should have done.
True.
Very good. All right, let's jump into Dave's final story here. I don't know which one I didn't click on here. I think it's the third one.
I
No,
think it's the middle
third
one.
one's the elevator. The middle one's the one that you haven't
No,
played yet.
that's not true. Oh, yeah, no, that's right, because the first one was the intro thing. Okay, middle one, as in the third one over to the right. I got you. We got this. We got it under control. It's a Halloween stream. We're having some fun. Happy Halloween, everybody. Hope you had a safe and fun one. Let's jump into our final video here.
It was advertised like a 1920s sideshow. The amazing Hypnotist was sprawled across a banner in big wavy letters. A Houdini-esque portrait of a man staring into your soul just below it, holding some sort of a pendant in front of him. Are you sure you want to do this? Mark asked his girlfriend Kelly. Yeah, it seems fun, she replied excitedly. The show was like a hypnotism/comedy hybrid and was apparently a big hit. Tickets were $25 each, so a fairly cheap date at least, Mark thought. They purchased their tickets and headed into their seats. Mark would have preferred to sit near the back, but of course, Kelly had to sit right up front. The venue wasn't very large and it filled up quickly, probably 50 people altogether. The show started with a bang and a cloud of smoke. When it cleared, The hypnotist was standing there like a magician. Short, chubby guy with a cape and a monocle. He cracked a few lame jokes and then asked for volunteers. Mark wanted no part in it, but Kelly's hand shot right up. "You're kidding," Mark told her, but she ignored him. The hypnotist called her and 6 other people up, 5 women and 2 men altogether. He went through a roughly 90-second ritual that involved him speaking in a very low, monotone voice that ended with a snap of his fingers, and all of the volunteers' heads nodded to their chests. Mark was surprised. It looked pretty legit. The hypnotist then did a few cursory demonstrations, commanding certain volunteers to do random things, and them blindly following his orders, making fools of themselves. He had Kelly strutting around, flapping her elbows, clucking like a chicken at one point, to Mark's amusement. "Now it's time for the real show," the hypnotist declared as he turned to the crowd, staring menacingly. He turned back to the volunteers and spoke in a loud voice. "You're all asleep now, but when I snap my fingers, you'll be awake. But you won't be as you were. You'll all be zombies, hungry for human flesh, and you'll stay that way until I say the word, sleep." He turned back to the crowd and grinned as he snapped his fingers. The volunteers all jerked their heads up at once and immediately began running full speed towards the crowd, jaws snapping, groaning like zombies. This caught the hypnotist off guard. "You're supposed to be slow zombies," he cried as one of the male volunteers pounced on him, tackling him to the ground. He attempted to yell sleep, but the zombie guy sunk his teeth into his throat before he had the chance. Mark stood up and yelled sleep himself, but to no avail. It was only the hypnotist's voice that could break the spell, and he was being eaten by one of the paying customers. The crowd was in a state of panic as the hypnotized volunteers were tearing them to pieces as they helplessly tried to escape. Mark turned to head to the emergency exit, but found himself face to face with Kelly. Only she wasn't Kelly. She was covered in someone else's blood, and she was panting like a hungry dog. Mark went to open his mouth to plead with her, but before he could, she lunged at him, teeth bared.
You found a way to do a unique spin on a zombie story. I'm impressed.
You
Thank
did.
you.
Yeah.
That was a fun one. I banged that one out today. I was at work and I came up with the idea. I was like, this is a fun idea.
I would leave a negative Yelp review about that hypnotist show. That's for sure.
Have you guys ever been to a hypnotist show?
I have.
They're pretty wild.
Yeah. We went to one in Vegas, and it was pretty compelling.
I'm on the wrong side of the screen and I hate it.
Oh yeah, you got to fix that. That's weird. Super weird. There it is. Yeah, they're crazy. Because I remember we went to a couple of them, and the people up there, they were super convincing. Because I was skeptical about it, and I was like, I don't know if I believe all this stuff. But the people it was super convincing. And then after the show, I went up to one of the guys who was hypnotized, and he's like, I don't remember anything. I don't remember a single. And he looked like shocked and like almost like upset, and he was like confused. Because he like was just like it was like a whole big blank. He didn't remember anything. He remembered like walking in, sitting down, and remembered nothing to the end. And I was just his reaction was it actually scared me because I was like, that's crazy. And I wondered, I was like, is he gonna get his money back because he doesn't remember any of the show? Like that's not kind of like
it's crazy. It apparently works. I mean, I think if you or I were maybe Rob too. I think if we were to get called up, it wouldn't work on us. Like if you're like a hard nose, like this isn't going to work kind of person, then it doesn't work on you. But if you go
because they called me up to do the test thing, and they're like, I forget what the actual test was, but like he had to like he did his hypnotist thing, and if he was able to like I think it was like he touched my shoulders and like to push me back or pull me forward, and if I was too rigid, then he dismissed me and sent me back down.
He didn't take into account all your MMA training and how strong of a human being you are.
He did, yeah. Well, he didn't know, to be fair.
That's fair. Yeah. Your connection was cutting out a little bit, but we got everything that you said. Strangely enough, your audio stayed perfect pretty much the whole time, but you're a little bit blurry, which means we're reaching the witching hour here on Halloween night at Hometown Ghost Stories.
Yes.
Those are some fun stories. Rob, do you have any other stories you want to hit us with, or was that your arsenal?
I mean, I have like 300 stories in front of me, so we can tell as many as you would like or as little as you would like.
Should we dabble in the creation game here? And
let's end with that. Let's end with the creation game.
The Church of the Stephanies cult is complete. The other Stephanie has arrived. She said, sorry I'm so late. Work sucks. I understand that. And then Demon King's here. What's up, Demon King? One of our VIPs. And
Happy Halloween, man.
oh, he had notifications turned on, but it didn't let him know that we went live. That's unfortunate.
Oh, that is unfortunate.
Mm.
So the freestyle that Jesse's talking about, we tried this the other night. We did a surprise stream. It was myself, Dave, and Captain McSlugs. And we ended the stream by doing a ghost story off the top of our heads, and one person would stop and the next person would pick it up. Thank God Andrew's not here to do this game with us.
Joke's on you. I just sent him an invite. So Andrew, if you want in,
No, nope. Yeah, that's not happening. He ruined my story.
It was okay. First of all, it was our story.
He ruined my setups though.
We
I
might need
the
Andrew if Dave's connection doesn't clear up.
No, it's fine. Dave seems fine right now. No, we can tell some more of these other ones if we want.
Yeah, here's another one. I'll cue up your spooky music.
All right, I should have proofread all of these, but I didn't. But
I should have as well, but I got the time, so I have faith in you. Oh, how do you start the song over? Is that possible?
Oh, I don't know if that is a possibility.
All right, that's spooky too.
This one's a little long. So here's what we're going to do. I haven't read this story. So if we get 3 people in the chat that say abort, we'll abort it. And you guys have to let me know. How's that? If it's no good.
I think we could power through it. I think it'd be all right. Rob knows how to read.
Cradling my 4-year-old daughter in my arms, all I could do was listen as the screaming outside of the house got louder and louder. Sounds of violence and horrible, horrible wet thuds and the unmistakable echo of muscle and sinew resisting the force that was slowly tearing them apart. It started just 3 days ago. Something happened out there in the world, and before we even got news of what was going on, seemingly half of the population was gone. Police and military weren't able to stop it. Providing such a short frame of resistance, it's hard to know whether it was real or just a fluke. There was no centralized target, no way to use our most powerful weapons, not without incinerating ourselves in the process. They poured forth across the world, from wherever it was that it started. Now I hear banging on the downstairs, and the screams of people being slaughtered, unable to mount a proper resistance against such a force. It doesn't take long before the pounding gives way to splintering and the sound of shattering wood. They're in the house. No more than a moment or two passes before the door to the bedroom starts shuddering. The things I piled against it are holding, for now. But I know, realistically, that they're going to manage to get through. I keep rocking my little girl, humming a lullaby in her ear to calm her as she cries. The pounding grows in force and volume. The frame starts to crack. I put my little girl on my lap, her back to my chest, and I stroke her head with both hands, from the top of her scalp, down across her ears, just as I've done ever since she was a baby, just the way she loves it. The effect is instantaneous. Her desperate crying calms to her series of sobs and hiccups, her small body shuddering against mine in fear. I keep humming to her, soothing her hair, acting for all the world as if nothing is out of place, not a single thing amiss. Agonizingly, slowly, in a reverse cadence of the sound of splintering wood, she calms down. I can feel it when she stops tensing, as I keep stroking down the sides of her head. A final sob, and she falls quiet, her body relaxed. She doesn't even have time to realize what's happening as I twist her neck with a violent jerk, accompanied by the dry snap of a sound. She's dead before she can even slump down into my lap. The door is giving way, the furniture pushed back. I may be torn limb from limb while I scream, but at least my baby's safe from harm.
Well, that was dark.
I didn't know where it was going, but yeah, quite dark.
Speaking of dark and creepy and scary, boom! Look who's here. It's Captain McSlugs. In the preview screen for Captain McSlugs, I couldn't tell what I was looking at. I actually thought he was standing up with no shirt on. I was like, I don't know if we can even add him if he doesn't have a shirt on, but he does not only have a shirt on, but he's wearing an entire deer head.
Yes.
So,
Oh dear.
Videos earlier wearing that.
Yes. True
And-
Captain McSlug style.
Yeah.
Well,
We
welcome
had,
in, Andrew. Happy
That's
Halloween.
perfect hair.
Happy anniversary and happy birthday to Catherine. I hear her somewhere in the background.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There she is.
Yes.
Who else has stories to tell? Not Andrew.
You are correct. I don't.
I no longer trust this website that I found my story on, so I'm gonna back out of stories here.
Mm.
Dave, your connection looks better. Do you have any more?
Not off the top of my head, but we could.
Well, we got Andrew
Freestyle.
here, so that means you know what time it is.
Do you want me to tell? We'll let the chat decide if we want to do one or two more. I have a bunch in front of me, and then we can do the freestyle.
That
What
one
about
that you
what about some 2-sentence horror stories?
We can do that. I have a really short one right here. Who knows if it's going to be any good, but
Yeah.
Last night, a friend rushed me out of the house to catch the opening act at a local bar's music night. After a few drinks, I realized my phone wasn't in my pocket. I checked the table we were sitting at, the bar, the bathrooms, and after no luck, I used my friend's phone to call mine. After 2 rings, someone answered, gave out a low, raspy giggle, and hung up. They didn't answer again. I eventually gave it up as a lost cause and headed home. I found my phone laying on my nightstand, right where I left it. That's it. Abort. Thank you.
I forgot which button to press to bring us all back in there. That was good.
I keep thinking that's Shrek on your shirt, by the way, and it just keeps throwing me way off.
Oh, that's definitely Ethan Hawke.
Yeah, I know it is, but like,
You're not the first one to say that. Yeah, I think
should end-
my mother has said, "Oh, it's Shrek."
We should end all of our ghost stories with "That's it."
All done.
all done.
Bless you.
Sorry.
folks. Yeah.
Show him the mute button.
I was just gonna say, like, God forbid
I
we
don't-
mute the microphone.
I don't know things on that short notice.
Oh my god.
I'm not hearing
Anyways.
it. Sorry.
It's all
I think
good.
we hop into it there, boys. What do you think?
Yeah, we can do a freestyle if we want.
I said we do it.
Andrew is not allowed to go after me, is what I say.
Fair. Andrew, you can start. That
Andrew,
way,
you start it.
and then I'll go, and then Jesse goes, then Rob.
All right. Fine.
See what I did there? See what I did there?
Kansas City, West Virginia, 1893.
All right, say it again.
Start the music.
Wait till the music
Oh, yeah,
starts.
yeah. I forgot about the music.
Kansas City, West Virginia, 1893. Ralph Seth Loren was just finishing up his shift at the textile factory. It was there he was making textiles all day. When he finished up his shift, he punched out and got into his car,
What year is it again?
pulled by a horse, Rob. When he pulled to the first red light, a man came up to the window and knocked on the horse.
It's a red lantern.
He said, "Hello, Ralph Seth Loren. What year horse is this?" Where are you headed? Can I get a ride? Take it away, Dave.
He knocked on his horse. Ralph Seth Loren knew better than to let a stranger into his horse. Oh my God. I'm getting canceled. Into his horse-drawn vehicle. If you'd let me finish. So he didn't. He sped off at a grueling 6 miles an hour, leaving the man in a cloud of dust. But he didn't get far down the road. His horse was starting to run out of gas and began puttering along the side of the dirt road. It was dark, and the streetlights hadn't been invented yet, so he couldn't see anything. He got out of the vehicle and walked around, checking out his surroundings. He saw nothing out of the ordinary, but when he got back into the vehicle, he noticed the man with the lantern was once again standing outside his window. Jesse, you're up.
All right, so I come in after Horse Window. He asked the man,
Yes, I nodded.
"How do you do?" And the man said, "Well, as good as I can get. I mean, my job is to stand here and hold a red lantern to keep the roads in order." He said, "Well, sounds like a very dull job, my friend." And he continued on his way. He rode for about another hour into the night. As he continued, he pulled up to another red lantern. He decided this time there's nobody on the road. There are no other horses. I'll just continue on through. I don't have any time to stop. So he rode on through. And as he looked off to his right, he thought he saw the same man. He thought that's impossible. There's no way he could catch up. He continued on for about another hour, trotting along the road, which was dark because there was no streetlights, for they have not been invented yet. Sure enough, another red glowing light was approaching in the distance. As he pulled up to it, he stopped, and he looked over, expecting to see maybe the same man again. But this man wasn't facing him. He was turned around. Your turn, Rob.
It was at this moment that Ralph realized that he was literally beating a dead horse. There was too many lights. How was he supposed to process seeing so many lanterns? The town itself only had 7 people. As he looked at the man, he wondered out loud, how do you keep getting ahead of me? How is this happening? He approached the man with the lantern, and he asked him why his lantern was red. He said, "Come back to this bungalow with me, and I shall show you." As Ralph entered the bungalow, he got an odd feeling. He had left his dead horse in the street, and he knew this was against the law, but he went anyways. As he walked into the basement of the bungalow, every wall was red. And on top of the mantelpiece was, go ahead, Andrew.
on top of the mantle was another horse.
Go ahead, Dave.
It was a tiny horse.
Go ahead, Jesse.
The horse was holding a red lantern. Go ahead, Rob.
All right, it's over. That's it.
And this
That
is why
actually
we
works. It actually works as an ending.
This is why we write our stories instead.
All right, let's do one more, but let's actually try to make it scary.
Yeah, well, all right. I'll tell you the formula. We let you or Dave start it off.
What do you want to do, Dave? Do you want to start it or do you want me to?
Let Dave take it away.
Actually, clockwise.
I'm gonna dip out for this one. I
Okay.
have my story.
Thank you, Andrew.
You did great, Andrew. That was
You did a
phenomenal.
great job.
I cried. Actually, I literally was cry laughing. So it was very good. Very good. It all pieced together with Rob's live fact checking. So, Captain McSlugs, thank you so much for joining. If you guys haven't already, go follow Captain McSlugs on TikTok. He came in here with a deer head. You can see more deer head content with him. Thank you, Andrew. Happy Halloween. Happy anniversary. Happy birthday to Catherine. Maybe some phasmophobia later. Perhaps.
Sounds good.
Yes.
All right, cool. We'll talk to you
All
in a bit. Thank you again to Captain McSlugs. And let's fire it off with one final Halloween ghost story. What do you guys say?
Let's do it.
All right.
Let's do it. Should we
Let's
set
do
some
it.
ground rules? We each get one turn. I start it. Jesse
We each
carries
get-
it. Rob.
2 turns.
So we go around twice?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Deal.
Loser takes a pickleback shot.
So it'll go Dave, Jesse, me. So Dave, you start it, and I'll end up ending it.
All right. Well, let's start it off in a classic way. They had just purchased the new house. Very excited to move in. They pulled into the driveway. The large iron gate opened, as if by itself, as if the gate itself was awaiting their arrival. But they knew that it was just a motion sensor. Regardless, they pulled past the gate and up the long, winding driveway, up the hill, to their new home at the top. They pulled into the driveway, which was covered, got out of their car, and they walked into their new house. The large oak door creaked as it opened, and they stepped into the giant foyer. Oak floors, large pillars, and a staircase that spiraled up through the center. It was a marvel to look at.
Jesse?
They decided to explore the house and take a look, decide whose room would be whose. As they started to climb the long staircase, which was so magnificent.
I thought you said as they started to climb the lawn.
As they began to climb the lawn, which definitely needed some maintenance. Excuse me. It's my part of the story, all right? As they climbed the staircase, the stairs were creaking. They noticed that wasn't the only noise that they were hearing. Thumping in the walls as they walked up the stairs seemed to be following them. I was curious, but nothing out of the ordinary. It's an old house. They reached the second floor and opened the first bedroom door. As they looked inside, they were surprised to find lots of old furniture, as if the room was still made up. The second bedroom had no furniture. The third bedroom also had no furniture. The fourth bedroom was locked. They looked at each other and said, "That's strange." They checked their set of keys to see if they could find a key for this bedroom that was locked, but there was no key. He tried to shoulder his way through the door, giving it a good bump. Figured it was an old door, it should give way. But it wasn't. It became clear that the door may be deadbolted from the inside. They thought nothing of it and began unpacking their things. On to you, Rob.
As their oldest son, Gerald started to unpack his bags in the second bedroom. He opened the closet door. It was wallpapered heavily from some flower design from the 1970s. This has got to go, he said out loud. As he started putting clothes into the closet, Jesus. As he started putting clothes into the closet, he saw a beam of light coming from a certain portion of the back of the wallpaper. He went and he grabbed at it and he pulled it down. Behind the wallpaper was a door. Shocked, he took a step back. He went and got his brother Mark. Only 9 months apart in age, they were very close. Mark, come take a look at this. This is weird. We didn't see this when we first walked through the house, he said. They said, we have to open it. We have to see what's going on behind this door. They ripped the rest of the wallpaper off, hoping that their parents weren't going to be upset. As they opened the door, they realized that it was nothing but darkness down a small flight of stairs. They both grabbed their cell phones and turned the lights on, not knowing where the real flashlights were, as everything was still packed. Do you think we should get Mom and Dad? Mark said to Gerald. No, they won't let us go down on our own first. We need to explore so that we know what's down here. We don't want to lose out on anything cool. So they take a step down the stairs. And as they're stepping down the stairs, the bumps begin again. Dave?
At first, they were too afraid, not knowing what the bumps were. But as they stood there, somebody walked by them. It was their mother. Mom? Mark asked, but she ignored him and walked past, and turned and walked away from them. Mark immediately began following his mother. Mom, what are you doing in here? How did you get in here? We just found this room. She didn't answer him. She just kept walking away. At the edge of the room was a hallway that their mother started walking down. As Mark approached the hallway that his mother was walking down, he heard from behind him, "Boys?" The voice came from behind him. It was the voice of their mother. Confused, Mark turned. The woman he thought was his mother was gone. Jesse?
The boys were very scared, and they turned and started moving towards their mother's voice. No longer did they trust this woman that they saw. They thought it was their mother, but it was not. As they dashed back around the corner, the hallway did not look familiar. The room didn't look familiar. They moved in towards the end of the room and down another hallway. And to their relief, they found themselves back in the room with the hidden closet door. As they approached the door, they grabbed the handle and started to shake it and twist it, but it wouldn't budge. They looked up and realized it was dead bolted shut. How could this be? They had just walked through this door. It should be open. They had no key for the lock, so Mark, being unbelievably strong, punched the lock and broke it off the wall. They continued to try to twist and open it, but the door wouldn't budge. They turned to go back down, but the room did not look the same. It was sealed off. They seemed to be trapped. They pounded on the door. Then they heard the sound of their mother from the other side of the door. "Boys, is that you? What are you doing in there? How did you get in here? This room has been locked since we moved in."
Take it home, Rob.
Jesse keeps muting me. Panic set in between the two boys as their mother panicked on the other side of the door. They both pounded on each side. Neither could get the door open. Suddenly, Gerald looked around to his left. He saw a little hatch in the corner of the room. He said, "Mom, wait 1 minute. I'm going to try something." He walked over to the hatch and opened it. "There's no other way to go here. We got to go through this hatch," Gerald said to his brother Mark. I don't want to go anywhere else. I just want to get out of this house," Mark said to Gerald. "We have no choice. That door won't budge. We got to get out of here." They both went through the hatch in the floor. They entered a little hallway that neither of them could even stand up in. So tight and cramped as they walked down this seemingly endless hall. At the end, they found another hatch that led back above. As they opened it, they walked up the stairs, the little short 3 steps to the next room. They looked around and it was a fully furnished room, but something was off. This was the room that Gerald was moving into. There was nothing in this really when he started putting his clothes in the closet. And now there was a bed and a dresser, but everything was from the turn of the century. They looked at each other. They didn't know what was going on. They heard a woman call. As they stared at each other, they realized that wasn't their mother, but the woman was calling. "Gerald? Mark? Come get some dinner." Terrified, they didn't know what to do. They opened the door to the room. They headed back down the stairs. They walked into the kitchen. And there was the woman that they were chasing down the hallway, setting the dinner table. When they asked what the year was, she said it was 1910, and that they had been sleeping for far too long.
Hell of a job tying it back together, because I was like, I don't know.
I know, I was like,
So
Maybe
Yeah.
could have ended it a little stronger, but I kind of got to where I was trying
you
to
got,
go there.
yeah, you wrapped it up, put a nice little bow on it.
mhm.
Yeah. You took that big piece of shit and just stuck a little bow on it and served it to us for dinner. It was good. Yeah, it'll do.
There's some funny comments in there.
Was there?
I
I
pulled
was-
them all. Yeah. What do we got here? Where is he? Cody
Cody
Guard
comes-
said,
Not the
"Not the
boo.
boo."
If anyone's wondering what that's about, that's a reference to one of our horror movie reviews of.
Can't.
Barbarian.
Yep. So I was gonna say. some
It's not
spoiler.
really a spoiler.
All right.
Kind of a spoiler.
Stephanie A said, "When did Christopher Walken come in?" Jesse, when you were reading,
I was reading like I was narrating.
We're not
like,
reading,
all
but
of a
we're-
sudden.
definitely not reading. But you were, yeah. And then they
It's
went
not.
into
It's not.
next room, but their mother, she was there.
She said, "I need more cowbell."
I'd be damned.
It's not easy to do off the top of your head.
No,
It's
it's not.
Not only is it not easy to do off the top of your head, but when like you're listening to someone else do it, right? You're trying to think of where they're going with it. So you're
Mm.
trying to anticipate your turn.
Mm.
And then if they take a twist that you're not expecting, you're just like, shit, now I don't know what to do.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's not good. Shout out to Haunted American History. Sorry you came in at that part of the show. You missed all the ones that we had prepared and, and everything, but we figured we'd try to do a little freestyle thing. I gotta say, I thought it was more entertaining when Andrew was here. I don't know why Rob is against having Andrew.
Rob hates comedy.
I guess so. Yeah,
I
it's
do.
fun. Rob hates fun.
Papa Squatch said, "Part of my office is unfinished. My cat just jumped through the insulation. Be right back. Need new pants."
I'm assuming
That happened to us on a movie review once. I'm sitting there trying to read the synopsis of the movie, and my
Synopsis.
dog decided to chase one of the cats through the cat door, completely throwing us all off guard. Scared the hell out of us. It was phenomenal.
At least yours has an explanation. It's like every other show, something happens in my house that I can't explain. So
Yeah,
at least you have that.
Haunted AF.
Haunted American History says you killed it, guys. Appreciate that. If you guys haven't already, check out Haunted American History podcast. Phenomenal podcast. Also part of the Bloody FM network. So if you guys are looking for another show to listen to, I'm sure you all be looking for a different show to listen to after this episode, but go check them out. Phenomenal content.
I actually listened to his haunted house episode today, and it was really fascinating. Like, gave a history of the haunted house attraction, basically, in America, and there's some good stories at the end too. So definitely recommend checking out their show. Not just because we're on the same network, but because it is actually
It's a solid show. Yeah, I have that episode downloaded. I plan to listen to that one tomorrow.
Yeah. I don't think that story was too bad. The freestyle that we just did there.
That's pretty good.
I thought it had its moments, and I just got to give you all the credit in the world for actually being able to wrap it up and make any sense of it whatsoever. I passed it off. I was like, good fucking luck.
Yeah. Rob's a pro. Rob's a pro. I had no doubt. I had no doubt he was going to bring it home.
This is why I default to one of you two every time I need a ghost story for the beginning of my podcast. Not my cup
I
of tea.
mean, you've written some good ones though.
Thank you.
What was the one? Rob's favorite one that you wrote is the one with the Seattle tunnel there, or the Portland tunnels.
Yeah, the one
Yeah.
that Rob wrote. Yeah, just
It's a great
nonchalantly
job.
gave himself credit for the other day. He's like, oh no, I really like that one. I'm like, oh, did you? Because you fucking wrote it, you dick.
I was like, oops, forgot I wrote that one.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Whoops.
I think that'll pretty much do it for the Halloween stream. Anything you guys want to
Sure.
touch on?
No, I think we wrap it up before it's not Halloween anymore.
Yeah.
It's getting close. Yeah. So
Happy November, everybody.
Let's talk about what we got going on the show the next few weeks. So tomorrow
What's coming
night,
up tomorrow.
we
You guys sick of us yet?
we are doing a haunted orphanage tomorrow. I mean, there's other locations as well, but we are finally covering a haunted orphanage, which I did not think it was going to take us into the 50s of our episode count to do a haunted orphanage. I figured that would have been like first 10. But yeah, and it's in a state we haven't covered yet as well. We're gonna be going over to Michigan. So
Michigan's one of the states that I'm surprised we haven't covered yet. There's a few that we haven't covered that's like, really? We haven't hit that one? Like Michigan, New Jersey is one. Like we haven't hit
Pennsylvania.
New Jersey.
Yeah.
What's that?
I think, yeah, we got to put it on the list to try to hit Pennsylvania and Massachusetts sometime soon.
do you guys have any idea where you're going next, or did you guys just kind of take this week to
Just do the million things that we have had to
Well,
get done.
I know, right?
the other million things, but like to just not
October's
even
over,
think-
thank God.
Not
Love
even
it's my favorite month of the year. And I'm like, oh, thank God it's over. We're most likely going to be in Utah the following week.
Nice, very cool.
I'm working my way through a book on a very haunted situation, but I don't think I'm going to cover that one yet because I'm pretty sure it's in a state that we've covered a few times. I can't remember off the top of my head. I know it's the Hanover,
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. So yeah, I'll pick something else for the sake of not covering Pennsylvania for the 19th time already.
I also read that book, so we're good to go if you do want to do it.
Awesome.
So
Stephanie really liked the freestyle, so she said, "Good job." So thank you.
we'll drop in time to time. Maybe this will be one of our Friday shows going forward. We'll just tell some ghost stories. To mix it in occasionally, other than just celebrity hauntings, movie reviews, and stuff like that. I think we should actually drop this on Friday to the podcast stream, to be honest. So probably shouldn't have previewed tomorrow night when this is going to air after. It's like that ending that we have for the YouTube thing, but it's
Yeah.
fine. It's fine.
We'll see. Might take some cleaning up, but we'll see. So yeah, that'll pretty much do it. Happy Halloween, everyone. I hope you guys had fun. Go out. I'm sure you already did all your Halloween things, but for those on the West Coast, have a safe trick-or-treating experience. And for those out here, I don't know, sit back, watch a horror movie review or a horror movie. I can't stop plugging my own stuff. I meant to say our own stuff. I meant to say, go watch a horror movie and enjoy your night with your loved ones. No. Hey, when you're done, watch more of our stuff. It's a great idea.
Yeah.
You haven't had enough
watching
of us yet.
Yeah.
Kansas City, West Virginia. Yeah, that's the location we're covering next time. It's Kansas City, West Virginia.
Yes.
Anyways, that'll pretty much do it. Do you guys have anything else?
No, we'll be back tomorrow night, night, normal time, 9:00 with a spooky story.
Cool. All right. Well, yeah. Happy discount candy day tomorrow. That's right, Papa Squatch. And happy discount Halloween decorations tomorrow as well. Make sure you get your decorations for next year because that shit is expensive. It's
Make sure
very
you get all
expensive.
of your Halloween decorations from our Shopify store, Hometown Ghost Stories.
We have no
Yes.
Halloween
T-shirts.
decorations up there, but yeah.
You can hang all of the T-shirts from.
Put them on all your skeletons outside.
There you go.
Real quick, Silverline says, random comment, my house land where I live is actually haunted. Different stories from all my family, starting with my grandparents. If you would like to share those stories, definitely send them over in an email, hometownghoststories@gmail.com, and we would love to hear your stories and potentially cover it in an episode if they're any good. So
We've done it before.
we have, a couple episodes now. So yeah. All right. Well, we'll be back tomorrow. We'll be back tomorrow night. So make sure you guys tune in 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll see you. Happy Halloween, everybody. We'll see you around.
Peace.
Thanks for hanging out. What's up, guys? Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that video. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, turn on the notification bell so you know when we go live for brand new episodes, which we do every Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want to be in on the live chat, join in the fun and games, get your comments up on the screen. Make sure to join the live broadcast of the show every single week, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. We are live, so join us. I hope you liked it. Also, for as little as $3 a month, you can join us on Patreon and get your name officially in the credits. What more could you want? Well, for a few more dollars, you can get extra perks, some swag, additional side content, early access, all that kind of fun stuff. It's all available on Patreon. So swing by. Thank you guys again for watching. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.